my parents threw my sister a surprise birthday party and forgot to invite me. I still sent a thoughtful gift and signed the card, "With love." 3 weeks later, Grandma called me and whispered, "Come over alone and don't tell your mother." Hello everyone, my name is Grace Mitchell. I'm 33 years old, and I found out my parents had thrown my sister a surprise birthday party because a stranger posted pictures on Facebook. There was my sister, Ashley, standing in front of a 3-tier cake. There were my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, even neighbors. The caption read, "Best surprise party ever." I stared at every photo, looking for one thing. Me, I wasn't there, because no one had invited me. 3 weeks later, my grandmother called. Her voice was unusually quiet. "Grace, can you come over?" "Of course, but come alone." I frowned. "Why?" There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "And don't tell your mother." Looking back, that phone call changed everything. But it didn't begin there. It began years earlier. Ashley was 18 months older than me. Growing up, she was always the exciting one. Captain of the cheerleading squad, homecoming queen, the daughter everyone bragged about. I was quieter. I loved books, painting, gardening. I wasn't unhappy. I simply didn't need to be the center of attention. Unfortunately, my parents believed attention should always follow Ashley. If Ashley wanted Italian food for her birthday, that's where we went. If Ashley wanted family vacations at the beach, we went to the beach. When I finally convinced Mom to let me choose my birthday dinner one year, Ashley complained, "I don't like seafood." 5 minutes later, we were eating pizza instead. Mom smiled apologetically. "We'll celebrate your choice another time." We never did. As adults, the pattern never changed. When Ashley bought her first house, Dad organized a family workday to help paint every room. When I bought my condominium, Mom texted, "Congratulations." That was it. No visit, no celebration, no offer to help. Eventually, I stopped expecting equal treatment. It hurt less that way, at least. That's what I told myself. I became an elementary school art teacher. Every day, children reminded me how naturally kindness came to people before adults complicated it. One little girl once handed me half her cookie because she noticed I'd skipped lunch. She was 7 years old. Sometimes, children understand generosity better than grown-ups. Ashley worked in real estate. She loved big parties, designer handbags, luxury vacations. Our lives couldn't have been more different. Still, I loved her. She was my sister. Even when she forgot to call, even when she canceled plans, even when every family gathering somehow became about her. Then came her 35th birthday. Nobody mentioned a party. Not Mom, not Dad, not Ashley. I assumed they were keeping things simple. Saturday afternoon, I stayed home planting flowers on my balcony. Sunday morning, while drinking coffee, I opened Facebook. That's when I saw the pictures. More than 60 photos. Ashley laughing, Mom hugging her, Dad giving a speech, everyone smiling. One picture showed the entire family together. Except me. I quietly closed the app, then turned my phone over. For a while, I simply sat there, not crying, not angry, just empty. Around noon, Ashley finally texted, "Thanks for understanding about yesterday." I stared at the message. Understanding what? I typed back, "I didn't know there was a party." 10 minutes later, she replied, "Mom thought it would be less awkward if you weren't there." That sentence replayed in my mind all day. Less awkward, as though my presence somehow ruined celebrations. I never answered. Instead, I drove to a small boutique downtown. Ashley had once admired a handcrafted crystal jewelry box in the display window. She'd said, I'd buy it someday. She never had. So I bought it. I wrapped it carefully, included a handwritten card. "Happy birthday, Ashley. I hope this reminds you every day that you're loved. With love, Grace." No sarcasm, no anger, just honesty. I mailed it the next morning. A week later, Ashley texted again. "The jewelry box is beautiful, thank you." That was all. Life quietly moved on. Or at least, I thought it had. 3 weeks later, my phone rang. "Grandma." I smiled immediately. She rarely called during the afternoon. "Hi, Grandma." Her voice sounded different. Softer, almost nervous. "Grace, can you come over today?" "Sure, come alone." "I will, and don't tell your mother." I sat upright. "Is everything okay?" "Yes, I just need to show you something." "What is it?" "You'll understand when you get here." I drove to her little farmhouse an hour later. She was already waiting on the porch. 2 cups of tea sat on the small wooden table. She hugged me longer than usual. "You've lost weight." I laughed softly. "I've been busy." "No, you've been hurting." I didn't answer. Somehow, Grandma always knew. We sat together quietly, watching the wind move through the old oak trees. Finally, she stood. "Come with me." She slowly led me upstairs, to the attic. I'd been there countless times as a child. Old furniture, Christmas decorations, Grandpa's fishing gear, everything smelled faintly of cedar. In one corner, rested an old wooden chest I'd never seen before. Grandma knelt beside it, pulled a small brass key from her sweater pocket, unlocked the lid. Inside were dozens of neatly tied bundles of letters, old photographs, legal documents, and one sealed envelope. Across the front, in Grandpa's unmistakable handwriting, were 7 words, "For Grace, when she's finally ready." I looked at Grandma, confused. "What is this?" Tears filled her eyes. She gently placed the envelope into my hands, then quietly whispered, "It's time you learned why you've always been treated differently." My heart began pounding. I looked down at the envelope, then back at Grandma. She simply nodded. "Open it. Sometimes, the answers you've searched for your entire life aren't hidden because they're complicated. They're hidden because someone believed you deserved to hear them, only when you were strong enough to carry the truth." My hands trembled as I carefully broke the seal. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter. Grandpa's familiar handwriting covered every page. I swallowed hard, then began reading aloud. "My dearest Grace, if this letter has reached you, then your grandmother has decided you're finally ready to know something we've protected your entire life. Before you read another word, understand this. Nothing that happened to you was ever your fault." Tears blurred my vision. Grandma quietly reached over and squeezed my hand. I continued, "When you were 5 years old, your father lost nearly everything after a business partnership failed. Your mother wanted to sell the family home to cover the debts. We stepped in instead." I frowned. I had never heard that story before. The letter continued, "Your grandmother and I loaned your parents enough money to save their home. We asked for only one thing in return, that both of our granddaughters would always be treated equally." I looked up. Grandma slowly nodded. "They promised us." I continued reading. "For a little while, they kept that promise, but as the years passed, the favoritism returned. Every time we confronted them, they insisted you never noticed." A tear rolled down my cheek. Grandma whispered, "We knew you noticed." I kept reading. "We also quietly created 2 education and life funds. One for Ashley, one for you, both equal." I looked confused. "I never received one." Grandma gave a sad smile. "No, you refused to take money after college. You said you wanted to build your own life." I remembered. Grandpa had once offered to help with a down payment on a house. I'd politely declined. I wanted to earn everything myself. Grandpa had respected that. The letter continued, "Ashley received her fund years ago. You never accepted yours, so we protected it instead." Grandma slowly reached into the wooden chest. She removed another folder. Inside were investment statements, property records, bank documents. Everything had my name on it. I stared in disbelief. "What is all this?" Grandma smiled. "Your grandfather invested your fund instead. It kept growing. For years." I looked at the final page. The balance made me gasp. It was enough to completely pay off my condominium. With money left over, I immediately shook my head. "I can't accept this." Grandma laughed softly. "You already have." "What?" "It has always been yours." I couldn't speak. Then she quietly said, "There's one more thing." She handed me a faded birthday card. The front read, "Happy 18th birthday, Grace." Inside was my mother's handwriting. "We're proud of the woman you're becoming." I smiled through tears. "I've never seen this." "I know." Grandma looked heartbroken. "It was never mailed." "What?" She nodded. "I found it years later. Your mother wrote it, but after another argument, she threw it away. I saved it." I stared at the card. "So, she did love me." Grandma gently answered, "Grace, your mother has always loved you. She simply spent so many years trying to rescue Ashley. Why that she forgot love also needs to be shown." Those words hurt, but somehow, they also healed something inside me. A week later, I invited my parents and Ashley to Grandma's house. Nobody knew why. When everyone arrived, Grandma placed Grandpa's letter on the dining table. "Read it." Nobody argued. Dad finished first. He quietly removed his glasses. Mom cried before reaching the final page. Ashley looked stunned. "I didn't know." Grandma answered, "I believe you." She turned toward my parents. "But you knew." Mom buried her face in her hands. "We thought." Grace didn't care. I smiled sadly. "I cared every single time." Dad's voice cracked. "I thought because you never complained, you weren't hurting." I stopped complaining because nobody listened. Silence filled the room. Ashley slowly stood. She walked over to me. "I'm sorry. I never realized how often everything revolved around me." I hugged her. "I know. You were getting attention. I was learning how to live without it." She cried. So was I. Grandma smiled gently. Maybe now, everyone can finally stop competing for love. Epilogue. 3 years have passed. Grandma still lives in the little farmhouse. Every Sunday, our family gathers there. Not because tradition demands it, because everyone wants to. Mom no longer plans birthdays without asking everyone first. Dad makes sure every grandchild gets equal attention. Ashley and I talk almost every week. For the first time in our lives, we're sisters instead of competitors. As for me, I finally used Grandpa's gift. Not to buy something extravagant. I paid off my home, then created a scholarship for students who wanted to become art teachers. The first scholarship recipient sent me a handwritten thank you note. I smiled, because Grandpa would have loved that. My thoughts. Looking back, the greatest gift Grandma gave me wasn't money. It wasn't old letters. It wasn't even the truth. It was proof that someone had always seen me. Sometimes, the people who love us fail to show it the right way. That doesn't erase the hurt, but honest conversations can begin healing wounds that silence only makes deeper. And if there's one lesson my grandfather left me, it's this. The people who feel overlooked don't need grand gestures. Sometimes, they simply need someone to finally say, I saw what happened, and you mattered all along.